Today, we're diving into a really powerful story about what wealth and sacrifice actually mean. It's a tale of what happens when two totally different worlds collide, and it forces us to ask a tough question. What are we really willing to give up for the people around us?
So, right from the very beginning, we get this guiding principle. This one sentence is basically the moral compass for our whole story. It's a belief that our main character lives by, and it's a truth that someone from another world is about to learn in a really big way.
Okay, so let's jump in and meet our hero, Zara. Her world might seem tough on the surface, but it's absolutely lit up by this incredible, unshakable hope.
So here's the world she lives in. She's in a small, sun-baked village with her father, Abdul Rashid. And get this, their only source of income is one single guava tree. Yeah, they often go hungry, but their faith and their love for each other, that never fades. This is who she is, deep down.
And this right here, this is what it's all about for her. Her biggest dream, the thing that drives her, isn't for herself. It's to give her dad a solid roof over his head, a safe place where he can finally rest and be comfortable. This dream is everything.
Okay, so her life has this rhythm, right? It's predictable. Well, that's all about to get turned completely upside down by someone who just appears out of nowhere.
So imagine this. One evening, Zara's heading home, and she finds this young man just collapsed on the side of the road. And without even thinking about it, she gives him the last bit of food and water she has, an act of just pure kindness. He tells her his name is Zafar, and then he drops a bombshell that's going to change her life forever.
Zafar tells her he's a Jinzada. Now, you're probably asking, what on earth is a Jinzada? Well, he explains that he's from the world of the Jinn, these incredibly powerful beings from a whole other dimension. And this isn't just a cool fantasy detail, it's the absolute key to the entire story's conflict.
Okay, but why is he here? Why was he exiled? He was thrown out of his world, and his powers were taken away. And his crime? Well, he broke their biggest rule. He helped a human. He showed compassion. An act of kindness in our world was a major felony in his. Wild, right?
And this is where you really see these two worlds just smash into each other. In Zafar's world, it's all about power, status, and emotions are seen as a weakness. But in Zara's world, it's all about kindness and humanity. Her entire life is a complete contradiction to everything Zafar has ever been taught.
So we have these two people from completely different universes. Let's see how their friendship starts and how it gets tested, like immediately.
You know, as Zafar starts living with Zara and her dad, these little miracles start popping up. A sick kid in the village suddenly gets better. Their one guava tree starts producing more fruit than ever before. Zara starts to suspect it's Zafar, using what little power he has left to do good. And then, disaster. A sandstorm, a really violent one, just appears out of nowhere, threatening to completely wipe out the entire village.
Right in the middle of all this chaos, Zafar looks at Zara and asks her something huge. He needs her help to stop the storm, but it requires her to sacrifice her most precious possession. I mean, can you imagine someone asking you that?
And you know what? Zara doesn't even blink. She doesn't hesitate for a second to save her father, her neighbors, her home. She just agrees, instantly. And as soon as she makes that selfless choice, the storm just stops. But here's the thing. That was just a warm-up. The real test, the one that's going to define everything and decide Zafar's fate, that was still on its way. A few months go by, and an even bigger crisis hits. A drought. I mean, a really bad one. The river's gone, the wells are empty, hope is running out. Then, some merchants show up with an offer. They'll dig a new well, but there's a catch. The villagers have to sell their ancestral land and leave.
Now, for most people, this is a tough choice, right? But for Zara's dad, Abdul Rashid, it's just impossible. The thought of leaving the land where his ancestors are buried, to him, that pain is worse than dying of thirst.
And this is where it all comes to a head. Zafar had told her that for him to be free, she has to sacrifice the one thing her heart desires most. So, what is that one thing?
It's that dream we talked about at the very beginning. A safe, comfortable home for her father. That's it. That's her whole world. But now, if the village stays, that dream is impossible. But if they leave, her father's heart will break. What a choice.
And in that moment, she gets it. She decides she would rather live in their humble shack forever than see her father in that kind of pain. For his happiness, she lets go of her own deepest desire. This isn't about giving up an object. This is about sacrificing a dream.
It's the purest sacrifice of all. And that one completely selfless act, it changes everything. It's the key that unlocks the incredible, beautiful end to this story.
So what happens? Well, that sacrifice was exactly what Zafar needed. His full power comes rushing back, and he's finally free. But before he leaves, he uses his power to bless the village, making sure a new well is built without them losing their land. Zara gave up her dream of a house, but she saved her entire community and gained so much more.
And as he's about to leave, Zafar shares one last piece of wisdom with her. He says her pure-hearted sacrifice didn't just free him, it brought blessings she never could have seen coming.
And that's really what this whole story boils down to, isn't it? True wealth isn't about what you own. It's about what you're willing to give away. It kind of makes you think, what's the most precious thing you have that you can't even hold in your hands?